studio production begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Erica Joseph, the president at the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, and this is our chance to share with all of the viewers some of the wonderful and exciting programs that take place right here in our community. I'm joined today by Tom Harris, who is the Associate Executive Director for Salisbury Horizons. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having us.
So I know that I'm well versed with your programs, being a partner with Salisbury Horizons for so many years, but for anyone who is new to the name and doesn't know what your organization does, please share a little bit of the background.
Sure. Well, thanks, Erica. Salisbury Horizons is a program that provides a track for students from low-income families, and it's a track from kindergarten to college. And we really focus on establishing, at the core of our program is a summer, 6-week summer academic and enrichment program that takes students from the time they are entering first grade all the way up through the time the summer that they before they enter 9th grade. And our goal there is to make sure that the summer learning loss that happens for all students, but it happens even more for students from low-income families, to make sure that that summer learning is not lost, and to give students a chance during the summer to catch up to their peers and start the next year on even playing field.
And this is really timely because we've just sort of, coming off the school year and it's summertime. Yes. And so the program that you provide takes kids from schools throughout Wicomico County, yes. Correct? And I think one of the interesting things is the way the students evolve through the program. So you bring them in as first graders, and so then the following year they come in as, rising second graders, entering second grade, but it's the same kids, which is very unique.
Yes.
And how was that model developed?
Well, that's right. We stick with our students for 12 years and they stick with us for 12 years. So it's really an intensive program, and we really build strong relationships with our students, which relationships are an important part of education. This model developed, we started in 2003 as the 13th national affiliate of the Horizons program. There's a family now of over 40 affiliates throughout the country, mostly East Coast, but they're spreading over to the West Coast as well. And the model is not prescriptive. They don't tell us exactly how we need to do things. There's not an exact curriculum. But the model is basically focus on the summer learning, because that's where a lot of our low-income students
help them
fall behind.
Retain that and move forward.
Right. In fact, students can learn, especially low-income students, will tend to lose a lot more ground over the summer. They can fall 2 to 3 months behind, while students from wealthier backgrounds can even advance through camps and through a lot of things that we're able to do for our kids that keep them on track and learning and reading. But if our kids keep falling behind, if low-income students keep falling behind 2 to 3 months each year, the cumulative effect of that by the time they reach 3rd grade is they can start to become years behind other students. So it's a really important part, and is really at the core of the Horizons model. I think I said we're one of the older Horizons programs, and so we've actually had students, get up to now and graduate from the 12th grade.
Which is really wonderful to see how the program has, developed and matured over the years and followed the students and those relationships, which I think you mentioned is so important, because, students that you're serving that are 1st, 2nd, 3rd graders, by the time they get to 7th, 8th, 9th grade, that's a whole new series of academic challenges and social challenges. Right. And your program has really grown to help them develop that.
Right.
You mentioned that you primarily work with low-income students. I would imagine the demographics still are very broad because, you know, income crosses a wide number of demographics. But how do you identify the kids to pull them into Horizons at that very earliest point?
Right. There are a few criteria. One is that students have to qualify for the free and reduced meals program. Secondly, they have to be referred by a teacher, a regular school day teacher. And third, they have to have family or parental support. We have to have students whose families are going to support this commitment for 12 years. And it's really paid off because we've had about an 85% retention rate for students between, you know, the first and ninth, from the time they enter up through ninth grade, through the end of that summer program. So having that family support is important. We also look for a mix. We look for a mix of academic ability. We have about a third of our students are above grade level, and about 2/3 are at or below grade level. So there really is diversity even academically within the group that we select.
Now, you operate primarily, I mean, you're a year-round organization. A heavy amount of your programming is focused on this summer time frame. Yes. But you're not just, you know, many kids go to summer camp and have the recreation piece and the social time, and maybe, you know, of course, are doing some learning because there's a whole host of ways to grow. But how is Horizons different than either a summer school or just a regular sort of summer camp that people may be familiar with?
Right. Well, first, we take students out of their regular school environment. So they've gone through 180 days of school in the same building, and so we pull them out. And this is where the partnership with the Salisbury School has been so important. The Salisbury School is our partner in the program, and they house this, they provide the facilities in kind for the 6-week summer program. We are on campus at the Salisbury School, which is a beautiful location, and it gives our kids a chance to branch out. Then the opportunities they have include, it's academic focused, but there is time for enrichment activities. They're going fishing, they're doing some kayaking and boating, they're doing some arts and crafts during the day, but they're also, one of the big components of our model is swimming lessons. Every Horizons throughout our network requires swimming lessons for all students throughout their summer programs. And this is important for a number of reasons. That swimming is it's a safety factor, and especially here on the Eastern Shore.
Where we live, it's critically important.
Water is all around. And it's important because of its social factors. These are, being able to swim opens up social opportunities. It opens up job opportunities. And it's also a confidence builder. If students can overcome the natural fear of water, and they can overcome this huge challenge of learning how to swim, they go into not just our summer program, but into the regular school year with a great deal of confidence.
And I would imagine that, providing this whole, array of experiences, the academic piece, all of the enrichment, the safety and confidence builder that goes along with swimming, that requires the Horizons program to really make use of a lot of community partners to make all of that happen.
It really does. I mentioned the support that we have from the Salisbury School, first and foremost, of providing this facility, but we're also closely partnered with the Wicomico County Board of Education. They provide the transportation for the students in the mornings, and they also provide the meals for them. And then we have really important community partners, and let's start with the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore. This partnership has been tremendous for us. The Community Foundation provides not only financial support, and we're very proud to receive a grant from the Gladys Gosley Youth Initiative
wonderful program
this past month, and that was really special to us because of her commitment to education, lifelong education. But the Community Foundation is also important to us because it really helps provide a good atmosphere for nonprofit organizations in the area, spreading best practices, just having, bringing the community together around different issues.
Because it really, I mean, that's the way so many, every organization that we ever interface with, and I know we've seen this in our own work between our organizations, there's so much collaboration that goes on among the nonprofit community to reach. There's overlap in the populations that are being served, and there are resources and skills that certain staff or volunteers have that can be shared among organizations, and it's unique to our area. We often hear that in other parts of the state or in other parts of the country that we travel with our Community Foundation peers, that level of collaboration is sometimes hard to achieve, and it just sort of happens organically on the lower shore.
That's right.
I know it's a lot of hard work, though. Still.
Well, it's organic. Well, yeah, hard work is organic as well, but it's been really important for us too, and in being able to establish an endowment through the Community Foundation has been important to us and will be important to us in the long haul. But we've had we obviously work closely with the United Way, with individuals. We have had tremendous outpouring of support from individuals. We just had a giving day in Salisbury where we had said we're trying to raise maybe $10,000 or $20,000 through gifts leading up to our May 20th Giving Day, which we did in conjunction with all the other national affiliates. We raised $74,000. It's
amazing. Well, you had a huge social media presence. I saw, all of Harlan and the staff and volunteers were out in the community, raising awareness for Horizons, the opportunity to give, because those partnerships that you have in place certainly help to lower that cash requirement needed to fund the program, but there is still a need on an annual basis for Horizons and many other nonprofits to raise dollars from the community, from grants, from other sources to help to pay those bills.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about the impact. I want to remind viewers that they're watching Community Foundation Spotlight, and we're working to raise awareness for Salisbury Horizons here this morning. So let's talk a little bit about impact. Salisbury Horizons works with students starting in the first grade, rising up through their career in education, public school students. That has to have some benefit to those individual kids over time.
That's right, and we've been waiting 12 years to find out. And this has been I mentioned this is our first year, the first cohort of students who started in 2003 as rising first graders walked the stage and graduated from high school just in the past weeks. And we are thrilled by that. And so that's the number one goal. Our measurements of success are really based on what the students do. So the main goal is to get our kids to graduate high school. And with that, we had 10 out of 11 of our students in the program graduate high school. That's 90% compared to 80%, which is the number of the percentage of students on free and reduced meals who graduate within the county. So let me say one thing about the one student, because we build relationships with all of our students. So the one student who hasn't graduated has contacted us again, and because of all the publicity that our students who did graduate get, and is assuring us that he's coming back to get his degree as well.
So the commitment is there.
It's there. Even those students, we don't let students fall through the cracks, and that's really important to us. So the other measurements that we look at are how are students performing during the school year, and our attendance is over 96% during the school year, which is higher than comparing to. Because
they have to be there.
Have to be there.
If you're going to be
really
absent,
important.
That's really going to undermine your success.
That's right. And grade point average. We had together our students had a collective grade point average of 3.07, and comparing to students, low-income students, throughout the county, non-Horizon students were just below 3.0. So they're attending school at higher rates. They are performing through grade point average, and our last year's the last year of the MSA tests, they were 93 and 90% proficient in reading and math, respectively.
And that's so important. I mean, within the nonprofit community where there's a focus on fundraising and approaching funders, grant makers, individual donors, the conversation inevitably gets to, well, what is the impact?
Right.
And for you to be able to point to those specific measurable details around the benefit of having this intensive focus with these student cohorts on an annual basis. And I think the retention that you have for kids that come back to Horizons year after year. I mean, we both have kids. Mine's still relatively young, but I can already see things that he was interested in 2 years ago that when we bring it up again, the interest is gone. And so the fact that, you keep it exciting, you keep them engaged, you have the family component as part of your program. And talk a little bit about that piece. So many PTAs, schools, they're focused on how do we engage families.
Right.
You require it. So I would imagine there's work on your part to make sure that you find ways to bring the parents in. Right.
Well, it's a number of things. It's hard work. Parents, especially in low-income families, have big challenges. Parents especially, who may come from low-income households, are working hard. And the challenge is to get them involved with the program and in their child's education at home is challenging. They may be working two jobs. There are a lot of pressures on our families. We have built relationships. And this is, again, part of having our kids come in at Rising First and staying with us. They know us, we know them. It's a relationship built on respect and getting what we can from them. They come out to our volunteer at fundraisers and events and things we do throughout the community. They get involved in community service work that we have kids doing, especially during the summer. So it's really it's a long time. Again, it goes back to relationships and building relationships with the families, and it really becomes important because, as you were mentioning, students change, and while parents can have a great deal of influence on whether their child gets to a program during the summer. Once they get older, once they get to middle school, once they get to high school, their participation really kind of depends on
their engagement.
And so it's really been important to have that longevity. We actually developed our high school program to be different from the rest. So our high school kids, once you get to high school, we provide one-on-one coaching and mentoring to students who need or want that or participate in that. And we have community members who come in and meet with them once a week.
That mentoring component, having those examples. Does the relationship, there's certainly a more intensive focus at that older age to, identify individual skills and needs and interests, and that coaching component, thinking about, SATs and college applications and all of those pieces. But how does the peer relationship, so they've been attending this program summer after summer with the same kids, what impact have you seen, especially on the older kids, in terms of helping them, stay connected?
Well, it's been important. A lot of our kids come from certain schools. Especially Beaver Run is one of our big feeder schools in the program. But by the time they get to middle school and high school, they're spread out. So our graduates were graduating from Wycomico High School, from Parkside, from Bennett. So they really spread out. But they do have that camaraderie from having spent so many summers together, that they are getting together, they are forming this kind of really cohort that helps, kind of get them all through to the finish line to graduation. And a number of our high school students are coming back to our program to work with the younger kids during the summer. And that's been an important part, and I think will be part of the longevity of this program, is that our younger kids can see the success of our older students. The list of accomplishments they have now as they're graduating, not just graduating high school, but they're accepted at Salisbury University, at Warwick, at Chowan College in North Carolina, Howard. They're really
so they're branching out now.
They're really setting an example for the younger kids coming up, that this is the pathway for them, and this is what's expected. They're expected to go through. They're expected to finish high school, and they hear it from us all the time. But now that they can start to hear it and see it.
And what young student doesn't love to look up to,
right.
The older kids and see
right.
them setting that example and something to aspire to. So this is exciting for Horizons this year, because it's the first year that you're having a group of Horizons students to graduate high school. So we'll see more of those each year. There'll be a
That's
new
right.
group of Horizons kids that are completing at least that section, that piece of their academic puzzle. What's in the future for Horizons?
Well, once our first group of students got to high school, we didn't have a high school program, so the board had to sit and figure out what we're going to do. So we expanded and created a high school program. We can't follow the same group forever, so we're not going to follow them into college, although we'll stay in touch with them. So what we're going to do now is start to look at expanding to create other sites, so that we can expand the number of students that we're serving. We'll continue to have students coming through our location at the Salisbury School, but this year we'll be forming ourselves as a separate 501c3 organization. We've been operating as a program of the Salisbury School, and they've been generous in providing us that support.
Wonderful.
But now we're
partnership.
becoming an independent nonprofit organization, which will continue our site, our program at the Salisbury School. We are close to reaching an agreement with a second site in Salisbury that we'll hopefully be able to announce soon.
Right, we'll look forward to that.
And then the possibilities are endless. There are a number of locations where we could do this. The need is great. We have 70 plus students on our waiting list at this point. So I think I see a very bright and active and busy future for
right.
Salisbury Horizons.
And clearly a track record of success. So, the population of students who want to be involved in Horizons, and the evidence to support the level of impact that you can have if you can just get them into the program.
Right.
So let's remind viewers who might just be popping in. We're talking to Tom Harris with Salisbury Horizons. This program requires a lot of partnership. Yes. It requires volunteers. It requires funding. Where you mentioned support from the Community Foundation and donors. But I know that you all have been very creative over the years in how you raise those funds and how you get donors involved. Let's talk a little bit about the variety of ways that you raise the operating money for Horizons.
Sure. Well, we do a lot of reaching out to individuals, and we do try to do a number of events throughout the community where you're involved in different days and festivals that go on. We try to be present at some third Fridays downtown. The next big thing coming up will be in the fall. We have a dodgeball tournament every October, which is a lot of fun.
Nice and competitive.
That's right. We do have a younger and an older brackets, I guess you say now, so that we can have a kids tournament going on at the same time that we can get businesses to get teams together to get out some energy and raise money for horizons at the same time.
And I would imagine that those types of events are certainly a nice way to build those relationships that you were talking about with the kids and the families, because it's a very approachable and accessible opportunity to get involved, even if they're not familiar with, fundraising per se.
Right, right. And the other thing that people should do is come out, follow us on Facebook. We have really, in the last month, because of the Giving Day that I mentioned earlier that was such a success, we have really increased our visibility on Facebook. And you can go on, we have a website as well, salisburyhorizons.org, or you can visit or follow us or like us on Facebook.
There's so many ways now to be connected.
That's right. I think we're on Twitter, and you can follow that way too. But there's lots of great. Facebook has a lot of great photographs, and look us up.
The visuals are great. The photos of activities that you have going on, through the summer program, but also the faces of Horizon, the
Yes.
people who are behind the scenes sometimes, or just that are making it possible for you all to do the work that you do.
Right. And that's the best place to go on and see our graduates. That has been a really fun way to watch. We have pictures and some descriptions and some videos from our students themselves, and you can go on and
so the people and the personalities behind the names.
It's really great to see. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, let's talk a little bit about how people can get involved with Horizons, because we talked about, of course, there are always financial needs, but any organization has a whole host of opportunities for people to connect with it. What are some of the needs that you have now for volunteers?
Right. Well, we have a need for high school coaches. So if you are, in the community, and our coaches come from many different backgrounds. We have teachers, we have our own program director, Donnell Van Holten, who's also a kindergarten teacher, is a mentor. Lisa Kohler, who's our high school director, is also a mentor and coach.
And so these are one-on-one coaches with
these are one-on-one
high school kids.
We match you up with our high school students, with a high school students. Sometimes some coaches have multiple students that they work with, and we try to line up and see where there's a good fit. And Lisa Kohler does a terrific job in matching people up, and it's a great experience. It's about an hour a week commitment, and what we do, and it helps us just kind of keep tabs on our students. Mm-hmm. We keep an eye on our students, 1st through 12th, year round. But this is a friendlier way, and also helps students who are trying to figure out what they want to do.
Have somebody that they can connect with, yeah.
Have some connection, and especially with the community. This has a big impact on the community, not just in preventing high school dropouts. Every student is an opportunity for themselves, for their families, and for the community. And a student who drops out is a lost opportunity. So a student who can complete their high school degree, get into college, then has the opportunities to make money, to be a productive member in society, and to give back to the community. And I think that's where the big impact is for the greater Salisbury.
Exactly. Well, Tom, it has been such a pleasure to update viewers on Salisbury Horizons and all of the exciting things that you have going on. Congratulations on a very successful year with your first series of graduates that have come through the program, the commitment that you and the staff and the volunteers have there to help see and help every student going through the program and in the broader community be viewed as an opportunity for strengthening our community in the long term. So I appreciate your time today. Remind viewers once more how to find Salisbury Horizons on the web.
Sure, salisburyhorizons.org, or follow us on Facebook.
Excellent. Thanks again. You've been watching Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Erica Joseph, and I appreciate your time as we've spread some of the word on good people doing great things and connecting with causes that matter to them. See you next time.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC 14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC 14 is a great way to connect with your community.